Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. So for the last few months, all I've been showing is metal, and I was overdue for a non-metal update. There is one or two hard rock releases in here, but um, I wanted to show something a little different. I got a little stack here of non-metal stuff that I've been listening to. And to start that off, I have to start with a huge thank you to Melinda Murphy and her husband. So one of the albums that I talked about this in a video, was the the Jeff Beck Truth Mobile Fidelity release. It was one that I really wanted, and unfortunately, it sold out in a matter of minutes. I got the email that they were available twice, because they did a pre-sale, and then the day of release, they also released a few more. Both days, I clicked the link within 5 minutes of getting the email, and the albums had already sold out. So I was pretty disappointed, and they were selling for $100 up to $175 within a couple of weeks. And I got a message from Melinda saying that she had I don't remember exactly what happened, but if her and her husband ended up ordering a copy, somehow they ended up with two copies though, and she asked me if I'd like one, and of course I said yes. And I've spun this quite a few times, so I don't know if I've talked about Jeff Beck, or maybe if I did, it was years ago. So I'm a really big British blues guy. I love, and I'll talk about Rory Gallagher. Rory Gallagher, probably the greatest guitarist of all time. Peter Green is up there. And I've been into those guys for years, and everybody always talked about Jeff Beck. And then I've bought multiple albums from Jeff Beck, and apparently they were just the wrong ones, because they were, both that I bought were jazz fusion albums, and I really wasn't feeling them. And so I never went back and looked into them. And then recently, a lot of people have been telling me I need to check out the first two, which are Truth and I don't know if it's Ola or Ole, but the second one, both with the Jeff Beck group, both with Rod Stewart on vocals. Who else? I can't remember who else is on. Does it say? Yeah, so you got Ron Wood on bass, Rod Stewart on vocals, and then Mick Waller on drums. So just an amazing lineup there. So I was really happy to get this. It sounds fantastic. Once again, Mobile Fidelity is just knocking it out of the park. I'll do a video. I've got a couple of videos coming up, probably in the next month or so, pitting Mobile Fidelity against Analog Productions, who, unfortunately, Analog Productions has been very disappointing to me lately. Not in their sound quality and their pressing quality, and I'll talk about that in some future videos. But this one, it just sounds fantastic. If you can find a way to get a hold of this for a decent price, I highly recommend grabbing it. It sounds fantastic. It's a great album. And it's really all that I love about British blues. So I'm really happy to have this one. Looking forward to getting the second Jeff Beck album. And once again, thank you, Melinda. I really do appreciate it. And thank your husband for me as well. So Jeff Beck. Next up, actually, speaking of Analog Productions. So my issue with Analog Productions, again, their mastering has been fantastic. And like I said, I'm going to do a couple videos where I compare neck and neck some Analog Productions compared to Mobile Fidelity. This one, the issue I've had is just the pressing quality. All of my records, I don't know if you can see it there, get cleaned on a record cleaning machine. So it's not an issue of them being clean. I've just gotten some bad pressings, and I'm going through it right now with Analog Productions. I'm about to send back a record for the third time because the one that I got sounded terrible. It was full of clicks and pops. The second one that I got was dead quiet. However, there's a pressing issue where there's a loud squeal that pops up in the middle of side one. And for that album, it's something that you can't have in that particular album. And I'll talk about that in a future video. So I'm about to, actually, they don't ask you to send them back. They ask you to destroy the record, send them proof, and then they replace it. So I got to drill some holes into the LP to get it replaced. And I'll talk about that one in the future one. So this is the Ted Nugent, self-titled. I love this album. I like all of Ted Nugent's albums, but man, this one is just on another level. This album is perfect from beginning to end. Scott Waters was here for a few days, and I pulled this out to spin for him. And the sound quality is absolutely fantastic. I believe this was mastered by Bernie Grundman. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it sounds phenomenal. However, there's a couple of little pops throughout the album, and that's after multiple times on the cleaning machine. So it's a 45 RPM, and you know, at the price that you pay for these, I think this was $49.99. I expect a dead quiet album. I haven't gotten a single Mobile Fidelity album that wasn't dead quiet. So I mean, QRP just needs to get it together. They're just not putting out a good product. I love this album. It sounds fantastic. It's the best sounding pressing I've ever had of this. I wouldn't recommend buying it just because of the quality issues that I'm seeing from them. Next up, I was at my local store. I was not a big Iggy Pop fan. And then a couple years ago, I don't remember, maybe it was 1969 I was listening to. All of a sudden, the Stooges just kind of clicked for me. I've always been a hardcore punk guy. I love hardcore, especially American hardcore. I just never got into the Stooges. And like I said, it clicked for me. And then I don't remember who was it? Somebody did a video talking about Iggy Pop, the Idiot album, and mentioning that it was produced by David Bowie and sounded a lot like David Bowie. So I went and checked it out, and I loved it. So that led to me getting this one. Now, I knew Real Wild One and Cry for Love, but just another fantastic album. I believe this one, produced by David Bowie. But they had this for like $7. So this is blah, blah, blah. This was 80s, I believe, 86. So, I mean, I remember when this came out. It was all over the radio. But you know, now that I've gotten into the Stooges, I'm starting to get into Iggy Pop a little bit. And I mean, the David Bowie's one of my all-time favorites. So the connection there and the similarity in sound has definitely got me checking out the Iggy Pop stuff. So fantastic album. Promo copy, picked it up for like, I think it was under $10. So very happy with that. Next up, this movie. It was one of those, almost got kind of the B movie treatment when it came out. I don't remember if I watched it on HBO, but I watched it and I loved it. It's a fantastic movie. What I really loved was the music in it, though. I never went and sought out this soundtrack, but when I saw it a couple weeks ago, I had to have it. I've already spun it 3 or 4 times. It's just an amazing album. This is the soundtrack for Black Snake Moan. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a fantastic movie. Christina Ricci is amazing in it. Justin Timberlake, it was the first time I saw him act. He was phenomenal in it. Samuel L. Jackson is just on another level. Over half of the tracks on here are Samuel L. Jackson. He sounds phenomenal. Highly, highly recommend picking this soundtrack up. Just really killer blues. Next up, who was this? Was it, Real Gone Music just did the Dazed and Confused albums. This is even more Dazed and Confused. You can't go wrong with any of the Dazed and Confused soundtracks. Again, another fantastic movie, one of my all-time favorites. I still watch it at least once a year, probably twice a year. Man, when this thing came out, me and my friends used to watch this on whatever intoxicant we were on at the time, over and over again. Just a fantastic movie, an amazing soundtrack. This one is just as good as the first soundtrack. It just doesn't get much better than that. Next up, the debut from Can. I'm more into their 70s stuff. I think this one was 60. This was late 60s. More psych. I like the more progressive albums from later on. Still pretty cool though. Monster Movie from Can. Again, I picked this one up for really cheap. This is one of the 2014 repress. Sounds fantastic. I think I got this for like 15 bucks, 14 bucks used. Still recommend picking this. I love that album cover too. But yeah, I do prefer the 70s, the mid 70s Can stuff. Next up, WuTang Clan, Enter the WuTang 36 Chambers. I've loved this album since the day it came out. I actually have another copy. I've been doing the Mobile Fidelity country music subscription service, and everything that they've released through that has been fantastic until last month. Everything's been really classic, just top-notch albums. And then they redo. I don't even remember who it was. It's one of the modern pop country guys. It's all over the radio. None of the people that like the other stuff that they've been subscribing is going to like that album. I don't know what they were thinking. It's also an album that you can get for like 12 bucks, 15 bucks on eBay. Just not worth the $35, $38, whatever it is. So I swapped it out with the WuTang Clan. This thing sounds fantastic. Highly recommend grabbing this if you don't have it. This blows out the pressing that I have like a $25, $26 pressing. This blows it out of the water. They did a great job with the design. It's all metallized, I guess. Is it? And then it comes with the little WuTang chessboard, which is kind of cool as well. Next up, so as I run across them, I've been grabbing the Cure albums. The Cure is one of my favorite 80s bands. I've talked about them in a couple videos. I think in the last year, I've probably picked up 8 of their albums on vinyl. I only had 2 up until recently, and I've had both of those for well over a decade on vinyl. I had never owned Mixed Up. I had never listened to Mixed Up. I remember when it came out. I just didn't have any real want or need to buy it. I was happy with the originals. However, I ran across this for under 20 bucks. It was in mint condition, so I grabbed it. This is the 2018 extended mix remastered pressing. It sounds phenomenal. I love these remixes. It's a really cool take on these. I believe this got a record store day treatment within the last year or two. Although I would love to have all of those albums on vinyl that have gotten the record store day treatment. They've all been picture discs, so I've avoided them. Just not a picture disc fan. And was really happy to run across this on double vinyl. Again, it sounds fantastic. I think even new you can get these for under 30 bucks. So if you run across one, highly recommend picking them up. They sound phenomenal. Next up, the anniversary edition Rory Gallagher debut EP or album. Again, Rory Gallagher is my all-time favorite guitarist. I think he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Something Jimi Hendrix agreed with. He's just is the best. He didn't have a bad album. All of his albums are fantastic. Starting with this one. Honestly, let's see. So the first LP is the 50th anniversary edition of the album. Side C has a couple from Tangerine Studios from the sessions, a couple of songs that weren't on the LP, and then it's a bunch of alternate takes, and then some BBC sessions as well. It all sounds phenomenal. I don't know. Is it worth the 45 bucks? One major issue I have with it is it's not the standard size. It's about 3/4 of an inch longer. So it doesn't fit in any record sleeve that's on the market. I don't know why record companies do this for a 3 LP. They've had 3 LPs records for since the 70s. You know, I don't know why they feel like they've got to. It's stupid. And a couple record labels have done it. It drives me. Friday Music was really bad at it for a while. Luckily, they've gotten away from it. Ultimately, I was pretty disappointed when I got this. I've got a really nice original pressing. I think I'm happy with that. I don't really feel like I needed the rest of this stuff. It would have been cooler for just a single LP version of this. And then maybe if they did a second LP with the Tangerine Studios and the live at the BBC, I think that would have been a little nicer deal. I don't know. Don't recommend it. It does sound really good. It just, for the price and for what you got, I just don't think it's worth it. Now, next up, this is one of my all-time favorite records. I don't know that I've showed this before. Actually, I know I've had it playing in a couple of videos in the past. From when I first saw the documentary about this on PBS back in, oh man, it had to be, does it say what year? I don't even remember what year it was. I want to say it was in the early 90s. I've always been a fan of this. This is my 3rd time buying this record. I bought it. A deluxe edition came out a couple years ago, or maybe a remastered edition. I got it. It sounded like crap. I ended up selling it. I think I got the same price I paid for it. Then Vinyl Me Please did a pressing of this maybe a year and a half ago. I got it. It sounded like shit. It had pops and clicks all through it. I got rid of it. This is the anniversary edition. Oh, I believe it's the 25th anniversary edition. So that tells you when it came out. So it would have come out in, what, 96? So Buena Vista Social Club. Fantastic. Afro-Cuban jazz, a little bit of Cuban folk. Basically, who was the executive producer? Ry Cooder got together with the musicians from this social club from the 50s. There were some surviving members, some family members of the original musicians. They all got together, and he just tells the story of the Buena Vista Social Club and this amazing group of musicians, how they came together. And this is the music from the documentary. This is the music that they put together. It's amazing. Again, this is one of my all-time favorite albums. Don't think jazz. It's more of just an Afro-Cuban sound. It's phenomenal. Highly recommend picking up this anniversary edition. They did a great job on it. I believe, or from what I've read, it's the same mix. They say it's a 2021 remaster that Bernie Grundman did, but I've heard that it's the same master that was used for the Vinyl Me Please about a year and a half ago. I don't know. All I know is this thing sounds 10 times better, just better pressing quality than the Vinyl Me Please pressing from last year. Let's see. Oh man, this is going long. Oh well, we'll fly through these. Next up, I love Men at Work. The very first cassette that my father bought me was a Men at Work cassette. He actually didn't buy it for me. He bought it for a friend for a Christmas party. And he had bought me the Scorpions, whatever Scorpions it was in 81 or 82. I can't remember. Was it Love Drive? Maybe. I don't remember which album it was. But that friend opened the gift, and he already had Men at Work, the debut, Business as Usual. So he ended up swapping, and the one he had gotten for me was a Scorpion, so he gave that to him. And then on Christmas, I opened up Men at Work. And I still love that album. I also love the second album, Cargo. I don't really care about anything else they released. Those 2 albums are the ones for me. But I ran across a super clean Japanese pressing for under $20 at one of my local stores. Looks and sounds fantastic. It's a great album. The big hits off of here were Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive and Overkill. Let me see. And It's a Mistake as well. Phenomenal album. Next up, I lived in Japan for almost 10 years. I love Japanese culture. I love Japanese music. They did this soundtrack for Ghost of Tsushima. A lot of taiko drums and just traditional Japanese sounds. It's fantastic. It's a 3 LP. The first LP and a half is one artist and the rest is a second artist. The first artist is the better of the two. I missed out on it. I really wish I would have gotten the limited edition Newberry Comics pressing, but I didn't click on it fast enough. I hesitated. You can still get this for like $35 for the 3 LP edition on Amazon. Highly recommend this if you're into traditional Japanese music. Next up, Charlie Benante. Yes, it's very weird that I am showing a Charlie Benante album or anything related to Charlie Benante, who is, of course, from Anthrax. This is a solo compilation of sorts. He got different artists on pretty much every track. So you got Frank Bello, Dave's Brown Sound, Rob Caggiano, DMC. I'm just Corey Glover. I mean, the list goes on. Of John Five, Alex Skolnick. Here you can see all the musicians right there that is on this thing. It's a little bit of everybody. Then he starts off with City of Blinding Lights, which is a U2 song. So what's funny about this is you've got Charlie Benante. You've also got the singer from Death Angel. Actually, the first 2 songs is the singer from Death Angel, and they're doing a U2 song. I was not expecting that. I really like this album. It's just, it's not metal. I think they do a couple of metal songs on here. So Chloe Dancer is one of my favorite 90s songs. Actually, it's an 80s song, but my favorite Seattle sound type of songs from Mother Love Bone. They do a great job on that. But they cover Teardrop, Rhiannon. They do Bad Guy with Billie Eilish, or he does Bad Guy with Billie Eilish. Let's see, Transylvania, Fun Vibe, Public Image. I mean, it's all over the place. It's a fun album. It's just not what I was expecting. This is the Newberry Comics limited edition, which came with a signed card there, and it's like a pink color. If that sounds like something you want to check out, it's fun. I do like it. I know Scott Waters got it and he enjoyed it as well. It's just not, it's not metal. It's him just covering a lot of other stuff that he likes. Next up, we've got Greta Van Fleet, so a little hard rock there. Honestly, they're with this album, they're just starting to sound the same. I really enjoyed their first 2 EPs. That is probably my favorite from them. There's not any bad songs on here. It's really good. However, it just sounds the same as their other stuff. I'm actually going to see them, not them specifically. I'm going to see Metallica on Saturday, and they're one of the opening bands. So I am looking forward to seeing that. But I think the impact of their first 2 EPs is really, that's really where they were the best. They put together this double EP. It's too long, and it just doesn't have the standout tracks that those first EPs had. So I'll give it a few more spins. Maybe it'll grow on me a little bit more. But when I'm in the mood to check these guys out, I think I'm going to go back to those EPs. So what's it called? The Battle at Garden Gate. So Greta Van Fleet. And then last but not least, this is called the Pop Disaster. This was done by, was it Rox Records? Yeah. So the deal here was you had the singer from Tourniquet, you had Tim Gaines from Stryper, you had the guitar player from Skillet, and then you had the drummer from, was it Impending Doom? No, from Demon Hunter. So 3 metal bands and a hard rock band. So I was expecting something along those lines. That's not what this is. This is just straight Christian contemporary music. I don't like it at all. This is the same type of CCM crap that you'll hear on any Christian radio station. It's just not for me. If you're into that sound, that's cool. This is for you. I bought this on the power of behind the power of who was in the band. These are all, well, with the exception of Skillet, these are all bands I like. Actually, even Demon Hunter I'm not a fan of, but it's heavy music. So I was expecting more something along the lines of what Tourniquet was doing, even if it was something Striper related. But you got 4 guys from 4 huge bands, and yeah, complete disappointment for me. That's it, guys. I hope everybody's good. I do have another part 2 of the last update is already recorded. I recorded those together. So I'll post this and give it a couple more days, and then I'll go ahead and post that one. I hope everybody's good. Take care. Have a good week and weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.